Welcome to Wife Cheating Story. I hope you have an enjoyable and relaxing time listening. Let's get started.
We're incredibly grateful for your support. Before we begin today's tale, tell us, which city or country are you joining us from? We love connecting with our global audience. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. Fractured Foundations. Liam Delgado sat across from his wife Vanessa at Bellini's, the upscale Italian restaurant where they'd first met 5 years ago. The soft glow of candlelight did little to conceal the tension between them. At 42, Liam had built an empire in commercial real estate from nothing. A self-made man whose ruthless business tactics were legendary in Boston's competitive market. "Happy anniversary," he said, raising his glass of Barolo. The wine had cost $300 a bottle, but money had never been Liam's concern. What bothered him was how Vanessa's smile didn't reach her eyes. Vanessa Delgado, née Palmer, was 36 and strikingly beautiful with her auburn hair and piercing green eyes. The daughter of the domineering Patricia Palmer, she'd been raised to believe the world owed her everything. As a high-end interior designer, she'd first crossed paths with Liam when he hired her firm to decorate the headquarters of Delgado Properties. 5 years, Vanessa replied, clinking her glass against his. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime, Liam thought but didn't say. The past 6 months had been different. Strained conversations, late nights at client meetings, and the growing distance between them that seemed to widen with each passing day. Their waiter, a young man named Diego, approached with their appetizers when the restaurant doors burst open. "There you are." The shrill voice of Patricia Palmer cut through the ambient chatter. Heads turned as the 60-year-old woman stormed toward their table, designer handbag swinging wildly. "Why didn't you invite me? It's your anniversary. Families should be together." Liam's jaw tightened. Patricia had been inserting herself into their marriage from day one, but this crossed a line. He watched Vanessa's reaction carefully. His wife laughed, not nervously, but with genuine amusement. "Mom, you're so dramatic," she said, as if her mother gate-crashing their anniversary dinner was perfectly normal. Patricia pulled up a chair without asking. "I was thinking we could all go to the vineyard this weekend. I've already spoken to Nolan about it, and he thinks it's a wonderful idea." Nolan Brady, Vanessa's business partner, who had suddenly appeared in their lives 3 months ago. The pieces clicked into place with brutal clarity. Liam set down his napkin, stood up, and looked between his wife and mother-in-law. "You two enjoy, because I'm done with this marriage." The entire restaurant went silent. Vanessa's amused expression morphed into shock. "Liam, don't be ridiculous. Sit down. Your mother, your lover, your problem," Liam replied coldly. He dropped $300 bills on the table. "This should cover dinner and the divorce papers you'll be receiving tomorrow." As he walked out, leaving Vanessa stammering excuses and Patricia demanding explanations, Liam felt a strange calm settle over him. The suspicions that had plagued him for months were confirmed, but rather than devastation, he felt only cold purpose forming within him. Outside in the cool autumn air, he made a call. "Theo, it's Liam. Remember that conversation we had about information gathering? I need your services. Tonight." Theo Reeves had been Liam's best friend since college, and now served as his head of security. A former military intelligence officer, Theo had skills that extended far beyond standard corporate security. "The wife?" Theo asked simply. "Yes, and a man named Nolan Brady." "I'm on it. Your place in an hour." Liam ended the call and slid into his Mercedes. As he drove toward his penthouse overlooking the harbor, he couldn't help but remember how he'd built himself up from nothing. The son of a janitor and a waitress who'd worked himself through college, fought for every opportunity, and never took no for an answer. People had underestimated him his entire life. Vanessa and her lover were about to make the same mistake. Chapter 2. Threads Unraveling. Theo arrived at Liam's penthouse exactly 1 hour later, carrying a sleek laptop and a grim expression. "You were right to be suspicious," he said, setting up his equipment on Liam's glass dining table. "They've been careful, but not careful enough." Liam poured 2 glasses of scotch and handed one to his friend. "Show me everything." For the next hour, Theo presented the digital breadcrumbs of his wife's betrayal. Text messages disguised as work communications, hotel charges masked as business expenses, and most damning of all, photos taken just 2 days ago of Vanessa and Nolan entering a boutique hotel in Cambridge. "Who is he?" Liam asked, his voice devoid of emotion. Theo pulled up a comprehensive profile. Nolan Brady, 38. Former investment banker turned art consultant. That's his cover, at least. In reality, he targets wealthy women, particularly those in unhappy marriages. He's smooth, calculated, and has a pattern. A con man, Liam concluded. Essentially, but one with expensive taste and significant debt. The man's underwater on 2 properties and has maxed out credit cards. He's been selling Vanessa a dream, a gallery they'll open together, a life of artistic passion. Liam laughed humorlessly. "And my money would finance this dream." "There's more," Theo said hesitantly. "Patricia Palmer isn't just an annoying mother-in-law. She's been actively encouraging the affair." "What?" Theo pulled up text message exchanges between Patricia and Vanessa. "Liam was a stepping stone, darling. Nolan is your soulmate. Once the divorce is settled, you'll have everything, the money and the man." Liam's hand tightened around his glass. "The vineyard trip they mentioned is when they plan to tell you about the divorce. On their terms, of course. Patricia has already consulted with a divorce attorney specializing in high-net-worth separations." The betrayal was more calculated than Liam had imagined. Not a crime of passion, but a premeditated extraction of his wealth. "They don't know who they're dealing with," Liam said quietly. Theo looked concerned. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking it's time they learned who I really am." Liam stood and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city lights. Everyone sees the successful businessman, the generous husband. No one remembers the kid from Southie who had to fight for every inch. "Liam, you've worked too hard to throw it all away on revenge." "I'm not throwing anything away." Liam turned, a cold smile forming. "I'm simply going to give them exactly what they want, but on my terms." After Theo left, Liam's phone exploded with calls and texts from Vanessa. He ignored them all, instead calling his personal attorney, Bennett Walsh. "Bennett, I need emergency measures activated." Protocol Scorched Earth. Protocol Scorched Earth was a contingency plan Liam had established years ago, a series of financial and legal maneuvers designed to protect his assets in case of betrayal. Bennett had called him paranoid for creating it. Now, it would prove to be his salvation. "This is about Vanessa?" Bennett asked. "She's having an affair and planning to clean me out in a divorce." There was a pause. "I'll initiate the protocol immediately. All digital access will be severed within the hour. Accounts will be secured by morning." "There's one addition," Liam said. "I want to know everything about Nolan Brady and Patricia Palmer. Financial vulnerabilities, weaknesses, secrets, everything." "Liam, revenge is a dangerous game." "This isn't a game, Bennett. It's war." After hanging up, Liam turned off his phone and poured another scotch. By morning, Vanessa would discover her credit cards declined, her access to their joint accounts revoked, and the first stages of his counterattack in motion. He thought of his own father, Alejandro Delgado, a proud man who'd worked back-breaking janitorial shifts to provide for his family. "Never let anyone take what's yours, hijo," he'd told Liam. "And never forgive those who try." Liam intended to honor that advice. Chapter 3. The Architect of Vengeance. Dawn broke over Boston as Liam jogged along the harbor, his mind clearer than it had been in months. When he returned to his penthouse, Vanessa was waiting in the living room, still wearing her dress from the night before. "How did you get in?" he asked coldly. "I still have my key," she replied, her eyes puffy from crying, or pretending to cry. "Liam, what happened last night was a misunderstanding. My mother shouldn't have shown up, but your reaction was extreme." "Was a misunderstanding when you slept with Nolan Brady?" Liam asked, pouring himself a glass of water. "Or when you and your mother planned to divorce me and take half my company?" The color drained from Vanessa's face. "You've been spying on me?" "I didn't need to. You and your lover were careless." Vanessa's strategy shifted instantly. "Fine. Yes, I've been seeing Nolan. Our marriage has been dead for years, Liam. You care more about your business than you ever cared about me. That business provided the lifestyle you've enjoyed, Liam replied. The penthouse, the cars, the vacations, the $50,000 monthly allowance. Money isn't everything, she shouted, then composed herself. Look, we can make this civilized. A fair division of assets, no messy public drama. Liam smiled. Have you checked your credit cards this morning? Confusion crossed her face. What? Try to buy something. Anything. Vanessa pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, then looked up in shock. What did you do? Well, I should have done the moment I began suspecting you. Every joint account is frozen. Your cards are canceled. The prenup you signed has a fidelity clause that you violated, which means you get nothing. You can't do this. I already have. Liam walked to the door and opened it. You have until tomorrow to remove your personal belongings. After that, the locks will be changed. Vanessa's beautiful face contorted with rage. You think you've won? My lawyer will destroy you. You have no idea who you're dealing with. That's where you're wrong, Vanessa. You never bothered to learn who I really am. Liam's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. But you're about to find out. After she stormed out, Liam received a call from Bennett. Phase 1 complete, his attorney reported. Her financial access is cut off. But Liam, she's already contacted Stanford Wheeler. Stanford Wheeler was one of Boston's most aggressive divorce attorneys, known for his ruthless tactics. Let him come, Liam said. Meanwhile, what did you find on Brady and Patricia? Brady is deeper in debt than we thought. He owes money to some dangerous people. As for Patricia, her design firm is a house of cards. She's been falsifying financial statements to maintain appearances, but she's nearly bankrupt. Perfect leverage points, Liam thought. Later that day, Liam drove to South Boston, Southie, to the modest triple-decker where his mother still lived. Sophia Delgado, now 70, refused to move despite Liam's offers of luxury condos and suburban mansions. You look troubled, Mijo, Sophia said as she set a plate of her legendary empanadas before him. Vanessa has been unfaithful, Liam said simply. His mother was the one person he never lied to. Sophia's weathered hands stilled. And what will you do about it? What Dad would have done. Protect what's mine. Sophia studied her son. Your father was a good man, but his pride sometimes made him cruel. Remember, revenge might satisfy your anger, but won't heal your heart. My heart isn't broken, Ma. Just my trust. That's what worries me. Sophia touched his cheek. Don't become so focused on punishing her that you lose yourself. Liam smiled reassuringly, but as he drove back to his penthouse, his mother's words faded against the growing architecture of his revenge. He'd already set the foundation. Now it was time to build. He called Theo. I need surveillance on Nolan Brady. Not just digital, physical. I want to know where he goes, who he meets, what he fears. This is getting serious, Liam. It was serious the moment they targeted me. Next, he contacted an old associate from his early real estate days, Vincent Russo, a man with connections to Boston's less reputable power brokers. Vinny, remember when I helped you acquire that warehouse in Charlestown? I need a favor. By nightfall, Liam had assembled his war council. Bennett would handle the legal front. Theo would gather intelligence. Vincent would provide resources best not examined in daylight. And Liam himself would be the architect of it all. As he reviewed the preliminary designs of his vengeance, Liam received a text from an unknown number. You've made a powerful enemy. Back off now, or everything you've built will burn. Liam smiled and typed back. I was born in fire. Let it burn. Chapter 4. Count to Moose. Stanford Wheeler's office reeked of old money and privilege. Leather-bound books, mahogany furniture, and the smug confidence of a man who rarely lost. At 55, Wheeler had handled divorces for Boston's elite for over 2 decades. Mr. Delgado, I appreciate you agreeing to this meeting, Wheeler said, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. It shows a willingness to be reasonable. Liam adjusted his custom suit and sat down. I'm always reasonable, Mr. Wheeler. It's one of my best qualities. Wheeler smiled thinly. Then I hope you'll see reason in settling this matter quickly. Mrs. Delgado is prepared to accept a fair division. The penthouse, 30% of Delgado Properties shares, and monthly support of $200,000. Liam chuckled. That's an interesting definition of fair. Let me counter with mine. She gets nothing beyond her personal belongings. The prenuptial agreement has a fidelity clause that she violated, Liam interrupted. Clause 17, paragraph 3. Any extramarital affair proven through verifiable evidence nullifies all financial obligations beyond return of personal property. Wheeler's expression tightened. Evidence can be disputed. Liam slid a folder across the desk. Time-stamped photos, hotel receipts, text message transcripts. Would you like the video footage as well? The attorney opened the folder, scanned its contents, and carefully closed it. These were obtained illegally by a licensed private investigator following a suspected breach of contract, Liam corrected. Completely admissible. Wheeler leaned back. Mrs. Delgado has made allegations about your business practices that could become public in a contentious divorce. Allegations require evidence. Counselor, my business records are immaculate. Liam stood up. Now, unless you have something substantial to offer, this meeting is concluded. You're making a mistake, Delgado. Your client miscalculated. She thought I was just another rich man she could exploit. She forgot to research who she was dealing with. Liam buttoned his jacket. I came from nothing, Mr. Wheeler. Everything I have, I built. I know how to protect it. As Liam walked out, Wheeler called after him. She knows things, Delgado. Things that could hurt you. Liam paused at the door. We all have secrets, counselor. The question is, whose secrets are more dangerous? The implied threat haunted Liam as he drove to his next appointment. What could Vanessa possibly know? Their 5 years together had been carefully compartmentalized. She'd known the successful businessman, not the ruthless fighter beneath the expensive suits. At Delgado Properties headquarters, Liam called an emergency board meeting. There have been rumors about my personal life, he addressed the room of executives. Let me be clear. My marriage is ending, but Delgado Properties remains stronger than ever. Any attempts to use this situation to undermine our company will be met with immediate and decisive action. Meanwhile, across town, Vanessa sat in her mother's living room, surrounded by shopping bags from a desperate spree before her cards were canceled. He's completely cut me off, she ranted to Patricia and Nolan. 5 years of my life, and he thinks he could discard me with nothing. Patricia Palmer poured another glass of wine. You can't do this. The law protects you. Nolan Brady, handsome in his casual sophistication, shook his head. Stanford Wheeler called me. The prenup is ironclad with the evidence Liam has. We need another approach. What about that property deal in Providence? Patricia suggested. The one you said seemed suspicious. Vanessa's eyes lit up. The Riverside development. Liam was unusually secretive about it. She turned to Nolan. If we could prove irregularities in that deal. That's blackmail, Nolan cautioned. That's leverage, Patricia corrected. Liam values his reputation above everything. If we threaten that, he'll negotiate. What none of them realized was that Theodore Reeves sat in a surveillance van outside, capturing every word through the directional microphone he'd aimed at Patricia's windows. Boss, we have a problem, Theo reported to Liam. They're looking into Riverside. The Riverside development had been one of Liam's earliest major projects, a waterfront revitalization that had made his reputation. It had also involved certain arrangements with local officials that, while technically legal, wouldn't withstand intense scrutiny. How would Vanessa know about Riverside? Liam wondered aloud. Maybe she doesn't, Theo suggested. Maybe she's fishing. Either way, it was a vulnerability Liam couldn't ignore. He immediately called Bennett. We need to clean up Riverside. Now. That evening, Liam received another anonymous text. Asked your wife about Thomas Halsey. The name hit Liam like a physical blow. Thomas Halsey had been his mentor 15 years ago, a real estate veteran who'd taken young Liam under his wing, then tried to cheat him out of his first major deal. Liam had retaliated by exposing Halsey's tax evasion to federal authorities. Halsey had died of a heart attack the day before his arrest. No one knew about Liam's role in Halsey's downfall. No one except Bennett. Liam interrupted his attorney's detailed explanation of the Riverside cleanup. What's the connection between Vanessa and Thomas Halsey? A long pause. I don't know of any. Find out. Tonight. Hours later, Bennett called back. Thomas Halsey was Patricia Palmer's cousin. They grew up together in Rhode Island. The revelation was staggering. Had Vanessa known who Liam was all along? Had their entire marriage been an elaborate revenge plot for Halsey's downfall? Liam stared at the Boston skyline from his penthouse window, the pieces rearranging in his mind. If Vanessa and Patricia had been playing the long game, seeking vengeance for Halsey, then everything changed. This wasn't just about an affair or a greedy divorce. This was war, and it had been from the beginning. Chapter 5: Buried Truths. The rain pounded against the windows of Liam's office as he reviewed the file Bennett had compiled on Thomas Halsey's family connections. The evidence was circumstantial but damning. Patricia Palmer had changed her last name after marriage, but was born Patricia Halsey. She and Thomas had been first cousins who spent summers together at the family's Newport estate. Did Vanessa know? Liam asked Bennett over the secure line. Hard to say for certain, but given her closeness with her mother, it seems likely. Liam hung up and buzzed his assistant. Cancel my appointments for the day. He drove through the downpour to a modest church in Dorchester where Father Michael Donahue had served for over 30 years. The aging priest had been Alejandro Delgado's closest friend and Liam's confidant during his darkest moments. I haven't seen you at Mass in months, Father Donahue observed as they sat in a small office. I've been questioning many things lately, Father, including your marriage. News traveled fast in Boston's tight-knit communities. Liam nodded. She betrayed me, but it's worse than I thought. I believe she married me for revenge. Father Donahue's weathered face remained impassive. For Thomas Halsey? Liam's head snapped up. You knew. I hear confessions, Liam. Your father worried about your soul after what happened with Halsey. Halsey tried to destroy me, Liam defended, and you destroyed him instead. The priest sighed. Now you think his family has sought eye for an eye justice. What would you do, Father, if someone infiltrated your life, pretended to love you, all while plotting your downfall? Father Donahue considered the question. I would pray for guidance. But you didn't come here for that answer. No, Liam admitted. I came to ask if there's forgiveness for what I'm about to do. That depends on what you're planning, my son. Liam didn't answer directly. Does God forgive preemptive punishment, Father? God's mercy extends to all who truly repent. But vengeance compounds sin, it doesn't erase it. As Liam left the church, his resolve hardened rather than softened. If Vanessa and Patricia had orchestrated this elaborate revenge for Halsey, they'd chosen the wrong target. Meanwhile, Vanessa was meeting with Stanford Wheeler in a coffee shop far from his prestigious office. This is incredibly dangerous, Wheeler cautioned, keeping his voice low. Blackmail is a federal offense. It's not blackmail, Vanessa insisted. It's negotiation leverage. All we need is for you to hint at what we know about Riverside. Wheeler shook his head. You don't understand who you're dealing with. Liam Delgado isn't just another wealthy client. The man has connections in every corner of this city. So do I, Vanessa replied confidently. My family has been in Boston society for generations. Society doesn't help when you're being systematically dismantled. Wheeler leaned closer. He's frozen your assets, activated the prenup's infidelity clause, and filed a civil suit against Brady for alienation of affection. He's not playing games, he's scorching the earth. Then I need to fight fire with fire, Vanessa declared. Unbeknownst to her, Theodore Reeves sat 2 tables away, recording every word. That evening, Liam hosted a small gathering at his penthouse. Key board members, significant investors, and selected media contacts. As Boston's elite mingled and networked, he took the opportunity to control the narrative. As many of you have heard, I'm going through a personal transition, he announced. I wanted to thank you all for your support and assure you that Delgado Properties remains focused on our mission of transforming Boston's landscape. After the guests departed, Vincent Russo remained. My associates have been watching Brady, Vincent reported. He's in deeper trouble than we thought. He owes the Castillo family nearly $2 million. The Castillo crime family controlled much of Boston's underground gambling. How desperate is he? Liam asked. Desperate enough to do something stupid, Vincent replied. He's been asking around about selling insider information on your business dealings. Perfect, Liam thought. Desperation made people careless. Keep watching him. When he makes his move, we'll be ready. Later that night, Liam received a call from an unknown number. Mr. Delgado? The voice was female, elderly, uncertain. Yes. My name is Margaret Halsey. Thomas was my husband. Liam nearly dropped the phone. Mrs. Halsey, Patricia Palmer reached out to me. She said you were responsible for what happened to Thomas. That's a serious accusation, Liam replied carefully. Is it true? The question was direct, pain evident in her voice. Mrs. Halsey, your husband was engaging in tax fraud. The authorities discovered this. I had nothing to do with it. A pause. Patricia seemed so certain. Patricia Palmer has her own agenda. She's using your family's tragedy to manipulate a divorce settlement. Another long silence. I've lived with this grief for 15 years, Mr. Delgado. All I want is the truth. After the call ended, Liam sat in darkness, memories of Thomas Halsey flooding back. The mentor who'd become a threat. The anonymous tip to the IRS that Liam had orchestrated. The heart attack that had spared Halsey public humiliation but left Liam with lingering guilt. He dialed Theo. I need security in my mother's house. Tonight. If Patricia Palmer was desperate enough to contact Margaret Halsey, she might target the person Liam cared about most. The next morning, Liam received an email from an encrypted address. The subject line, Thomas Halsey deserves justice. The attachment was a voice recording. Liam's own voice from 15 years ago, speaking to a private investigator about Halsey's tax schemes. Give me everything on Halsey's offshore accounts. When the IRS gets this, he'll be finished in this town. The message body contained one line. Meet at the old Halsey property in Newport tomorrow noon. Come alone or this goes public. Liam stared at the screen, ice forming in his veins. Someone had kept evidence all these years, evidence that could destroy everything he'd built. Chapter 6, Collision Course. The Newport estate that had once belonged to the Halsey family stood abandoned on a cliff overlooking the Atlantic. Once grand, the mansion had fallen into disrepair after Thomas Halsey's financial ruin and subsequent death. As Liam parked his car in the overgrown driveway, memories from a summer fundraiser held here 15 years ago surfaced. Thomas Halsey proudly introducing young Liam as the future of Boston real estate. How quickly mentorship had turned to betrayal. Liam checked his watch, 11:55 a.m. He'd come alone as instructed, but not unprepared. Theo was positioned in the woods with a long-range microphone and a clear line of sight. Vincent had 2 men on standby nearby. At precisely noon, a black SUV pulled up. Patricia Palmer emerged, followed by Nolan Brady. Where's Vanessa? Liam asked as they approached. My daughter doesn't know about this meeting, Patricia replied. Some matters are better handled by those who understand the stakes. And what exactly are the stakes, Patricia? Or should I call you Miss Halsey? Patricia's composure faltered momentarily. So you know, that Thomas was your cousin? That you've orchestrated this entire situation as revenge for his downfall? Yes, I've pieced that together. Nolan stepped forward. This isn't about revenge, Delgado. It's about justice. Liam laughed. Justice? From a con man who targets wealthy women? Your credibility is somewhat compromised, Brady. Enough, Patricia snapped. We have the recording. We've spoken to Margaret. We know what you did to Thomas. What I did was expose a criminal, Liam countered. Thomas Halsey was stealing from his investors and evading taxes. The fact that he died before facing consequences is unfortunate, but not my responsibility. He died because of you. Patricia's carefully maintained facade cracked. He was family. The heart attack happened right after he received notice of the investigation. Liam remained unmoved. So this was your grand plan? Have your daughter seduce me, marry me, then help you destroy me from the inside? 5 years is a long con, Patricia. The marriage was Vanessa's idea, Patricia admitted. I wanted something more direct, but she insisted on a more comprehensive approach. The revelation stung more than Liam expected. And the affair with Brady? A complication, Patricia said, glancing at Nolan. Not part of the original plan. Nolan looked uncomfortable. Vanessa and I. That happened naturally. How touching, Liam said coldly. So what now? You threatened to release the recording unless I agree to a generous divorce settlement. Patricia produced a document from her designer handbag. $50 million. Half the penthouse. 20% of Delgado Properties shares. Signed today, and the recording disappears forever. Liam took the document, appearing to consider it. And if I refuse? Then by this evening, every business associate, investor, and media outlet in Boston will know how you destroyed Thomas Halsey. Your reputation will be ruined. Liam nodded slowly, then tore the document in half. You should have researched me more thoroughly, Patricia. You're making a mistake, she warned. No, you made the mistake. Liam smiled. You assumed I came here defenseless. He pulled out his phone and played a recording, Patricia's own voice from moments ago, confessing to the 5-year conspiracy. Extortion, conspiracy to defraud, criminal harassment. The list of charges would be impressive. Liam put the phone away. But that's not even your biggest problem right now. What are you talking about? Nolan demanded. I spoke with Miguel Castillo yesterday. He was very interested to hear about your outstanding debt. The color drained from Nolan's face. You're bluffing. The Castillo family doesn't appreciate people who don't pay their debts. They especially don't like people who try to skip town without paying. Liam checked his watch. Their collection team is probably at your apartment right now. Nolan pulled out his phone in panic, frantically dialing. As for you, Patricia, Liam continued, the IRS Fraud Division has received an anonymous tip about Palmer Design Group's creative accounting practices. They should be executing a search warrant at your offices as we speak. Patricia's composure collapsed entirely. You can't do this. I already have. Liam started walking back to his car. Oh, and the recording you're threatening me with? My tech team traced its source this morning. Interesting that it came from Margaret Halsey's home computer, a computer that Bennett's forensic team discovered was recently hacked, almost as if someone planted evidence. Patricia and Nolan stood frozen as Liam opened his car door. One last thing, he called out. Tell Vanessa, I want her personal items out of the penthouse by tomorrow. Anything left behind will be donated to charity. As Liam drove away, he called Theo. Did you get everything? Crystal clear, Theo confirmed. Every confession recorded. The trap had been sprung perfectly. Patricia and Nolan had revealed the entire conspiracy, providing Liam with the ammunition he needed for the final phase of his counterattack. That evening, as Liam worked in his home office, the security system announced a visitor. The camera showed Vanessa, alone and visibly upset. Let her up, Liam instructed the doorman. Vanessa burst into the penthouse. What did you do? My mother's being audited. Nolan's disappeared. Your co-conspirators ran into some unfortunate complications, Liam replied calmly, pouring himself a whiskey. What are you talking about? Please, Vanessa. The act is over. I know everything. Thomas Halsey, the 5-year revenge plan, all of it. Vanessa's expression shifted from confusion to resignation. My mother told you. She and Brady were quite forthcoming at the Halsey estate today. You weren't supposed to find out this way, Vanessa said, sinking into a chair. It was supposed to be a clean break. You'd never know why. Why the affair with Brady? Was that part of humiliating me? Vanessa looked away. That wasn't planned. Nolan was hired to help with the final phase, gathering evidence of your business dealings. But then, you fell for your own con man, Liam finished. Ironic. What happens now? She asked quietly. Liam studied the woman he'd once loved, or thought he had loved. Now you learn what it means to target someone who came from nothing and built an empire. Someone who knows how to fight dirty because he grew up in the dirt. You're ruining my mother's life over this. Your mother ruined her own life. You ruined yours. Actions have consequences, Vanessa. Thomas Halsey was family, she protested. You destroyed him. Halsey destroyed himself. I simply exposed what he was already doing. Liam set down his glass. The difference between us. I never pretended to be something I'm not. You've been living a lie for 5 years. Vanessa stood up, a strange calmness settling over her. You think you've won, but you haven't seen the last move yet. The threat hung in the air as she walked out, leaving Liam wondering what final card Vanessa might still have to play. Chapter 7. Calculated Risks. The next morning, Liam woke to his phone buzzing with urgent messages. The Boston Business Journal had published a front-page exposé titled "The Dark Side of Delgado. Whistleblower Reveals Pattern of Intimidation." The anonymous whistleblower, clearly Vanessa, had provided emails, recorded conversations, and financial documents painting Liam as a ruthless operator who crushed opponents through questionable tactics. While nothing explicitly illegal was alleged, the implication of ethical breaches was unmistakable. Bennett called immediately. "The board is panicking. 3 investors have already requested emergency meetings." "It's a desperate move," Liam replied, scanning the article. "Notice what's missing? Any actual evidence of wrongdoing. It's all innuendo and character assassination. Perception matters in this business, Liam." The stock is already down 8% in pre-market trading. Liam dressed quickly, his mind racing through countermeasures. By the time he reached Delgado Properties headquarters, he had formulated his response. The board had gathered in the main conference room, tension thick in the air. "Gentlemen, ladies," Liam greeted them calmly. "I see you've all read this morning's fiction." Harold Winters, the eldest board member, spoke first. "Fiction or not, Liam, the damage is being done. Clients are calling. Partners are nervous." "Which is precisely what my soon-to-be ex-wife intended," Liam replied, taking his seat at the head of the table. "What you're witnessing is the desperate act of a woman who tried to extort $50 million from me yesterday and failed." He played the recording of his meeting with Patricia and Nolan, watching as the board members' expressions shifted from concern to understanding. "This has been a coordinated attack from the beginning," Liam explained. "Vanessa married me as part of a revenge plot for her family. When that failed, they resorted to blackmail. Now, they're trying character assassination." Rebecca Chun, the company's CFO, leaned forward. "What's our response?" "Transparency and counteroffensive," Liam declared. "I've instructed our legal team to file defamation suits against the Boston Business Journal and anonymous sources who will soon be identified. Meanwhile, we accelerate the announcement of the Harbor Point development, a billion-dollar project that will create 5,000 jobs and revitalize an entire district." By afternoon, Delgado Properties' PR machine was in full swing. The stock recovered as news of the Harbor Point development dominated business headlines, overshadowing the morning's allegations. Liam held a press conference, projecting confident leadership. Success attracts criticism, and sometimes personal vendettas. Delgado Properties remains committed to transforming Boston through ethical, innovative development. "We look forward to proving that in court against those making baseless accusations." Meanwhile, Patricia Palmer was being questioned by IRS investigators. Her design firm's offices had been sealed, computers confiscated, and records seized. The anonymous tip Liam had arranged had led to the discovery of systematic tax evasion spanning 5 years. Ironically, the exact duration of Liam and Vanessa's marriage. Nolan Brady had more immediate problems. Unable to contact his usual sources for emergency funds, he'd attempted to flee Boston only to be intercepted by 2 representatives of the Castillo family. They'd taken him to a private discussion about his outstanding debts and the importance of fiscal responsibility. By evening, Liam received confirmation that Nolan had made arrangements to work off his debt through services to the Castillo business interests, services that would keep him occupied and out of Boston for the foreseeable future. Vanessa, however, remained the wild card. Liam knew her well enough to recognize that she wouldn't surrender easily. The press leak was just her opening move. To prepare for whatever came next, Liam summoned his inner circle to the penthouse that night: Bennett, Theo, Vincent, and a new addition, Diana Frost, a crisis management specialist with connections throughout Boston's media landscape. "Vanessa's desperate," Liam explained as they gathered around his dining table, "which makes her dangerous. We need to anticipate her next move." Diana, sharp-featured and direct, cut to the chase. "She'll go personal. Business allegations didn't stick, so she'll attack your character, your past, your family." "My family is off limits," Liam said firmly. "You don't make those rules in a war like this," Diana countered. "She'll target whatever hurts most." Liam considered this. "My mother." Theo nodded. "Sophia is your obvious vulnerability. Vanessa knows how close you are. I've already increased security at her home, Liam assured them. What else? The Riverside development, Bennett suggested. It's still our most vulnerable project in terms of documentation. Liam turned to Vincent. Can your associates ensure those county officials remain discreet? Vincent nodded. Already handled. Nobody's talking. They continued planning late into the night, anticipating angles of attack and preparing countermeasures. What none of them could predict, however, was the exact form Vanessa's next strike would take. It came the next morning, not through the press, not through legal channels, but in the form of a personal delivery to Sofia Delgado's home. A young courier handed Sofia a package containing a detailed dossier on her son's early business dealings, including evidence of the Thomas Halsey situation and several other ethically questionable maneuvers that had built Liam's initial fortune. Attached was a note in Vanessa's handwriting. Your son destroyed my family. You deserve to know who raised. Sofia called Liam immediately. Mijo, we need to talk. In person. When Liam arrived at his childhood home an hour later, he found his mother sitting at the kitchen table, the documents spread before her. Is this true? Sofia asked, her voice heavy with disappointment. Did you do these things? Liam sat across from her. Business is complicated, Ma. Sometimes you have to make difficult choices. Difficult choices? Sofia pushed a particular document forward. Details of how Liam had leveraged insider information to outmaneuver a family-owned construction company, driving them into bankruptcy and acquiring their assets at pennies on the dollar. The Martinez family, Sofia said. Karma Martinez was my friend. Her husband died of stress after they lost everything. Liam hadn't known that connection. Ma, in business. Do not speak to me of business, Sofia interrupted, her voice uncharacteristically harsh. Your father worked honest jobs his entire life. He taught you to work hard, not to destroy others. Dad taught me to survive, Liam countered, to fight for what's mine. Not like this. Sofia gathered the papers. Vanessa did a terrible thing, betraying you. But these papers make me wonder if perhaps you two deserved each other. The words cut deeper than any business setback or personal betrayal. Liam left his mother's house shaken, his resolve momentarily weakened. That vulnerability was precisely what Vanessa had counted on. Chapter 8. Crucible of Fire. As Liam drove back from his mother's house, his phone rang. Bennett's voice was tense. Vanessa's filed for an emergency hearing. She's claiming emotional abuse and seeking immediate relief. Access to accounts, temporary occupation of the penthouse, and provisional support. On what grounds? Liam demanded. She submitted testimony from 3 witnesses claiming you exhibited controlling, threatening behavior throughout the marriage. One is her mother, one is her therapist, and one is a household staff member. The staff betrayal stung. Which one? Marina Torres. The housekeeper. Liam recalled Marina, quiet, efficient, always in the background. He'd barely spoken to her beyond basic household instructions. What could she possibly testify to? She claimed she overheard you threatening Vanessa on multiple occasions, saw evidence of emotional manipulation, and witnessed you destroying Vanessa's personal property during arguments. Pure fabrication, Liam knew, but in the court of public opinion, and possibly in family court, such testimony could be damaging, especially coming from a sympathetic working-class witness with no obvious motive to lie. When's the hearing? Tomorrow morning. Judge Catherine Powell. Liam's grip tightened on the steering wheel. Judge Powell was known for her staunch advocacy for domestic abuse victims, a reputation that made her both respected and feared in divorce proceedings. Find out everything about Marina Torres, Liam instructed. Why she's lying, what Vanessa has on her, everything. By evening, Theo had uncovered the connection. Marina's son, Eduardo, was admitted to Westfield Academy last year, one of the most exclusive private schools in Massachusetts, on a full scholarship. Arranged by Vanessa, Liam guessed. Through the Palmer Family Foundation, Theo confirmed. A scholarship worth $50,000 per year. The manipulation was clever. Not direct payment, but a benefit that no working mother could reasonably refuse. What jury would blame Marina for expressing gratitude through loyalty? Meanwhile, Diana was reviewing Vanessa's therapist credentials. Dr. Lillian Mercer, board certified, impeccable reputation. But she paused. She's also Patricia Palmer's therapist and has been for 15 years. Another connection Vanessa had deliberately concealed. The web of deception was extensive, meticulously planned. She's built a convincing narrative, Diana warned. The privileged, controlling husband. The trapped, emotionally abused wife. The sympathetic household employee. The concerned mother. The professional therapist validating it all. Liam absorbed this analysis, his mind already working on counter-strategies. Find someone from Westfield's admissions committee. I want to know exactly how Eduardo Torres got that scholarship. The morning of the hearing, Liam arrived at the courthouse to find a small crowd of protesters. Mostly women holding signs reading "Believe Survivors" and "End Domestic Abuse." A clear attempt to shape the environment around the proceedings. Inside, Vanessa sat beside Stanford Wheeler, looking appropriately distressed in conservative attire, minimal makeup highlighting her apparent exhaustion. When she saw Liam, she flinched visibly, a practiced gesture for the benefit of onlookers. Judge Powell entered, her stern demeanor setting the tone immediately. This court takes allegations of emotional abuse extremely seriously, Mr. Wheeler. You may present your case. Wheeler outlined the claims methodically, a pattern of controlling behavior, isolation tactics, verbal intimidation, and financial manipulation that had left Vanessa a shell of her former self. Marina Torres testified tearfully about overhearing arguments where Liam supposedly threatened to destroy Vanessa if she ever left him. Dr. Mercer presented clinical observations of Vanessa's textbook trauma responses to an emotionally abusive relationship. Patricia Palmer described watching her vibrant daughter transform into a fearful, dependent woman under Liam's influence. When Bennett's turn for cross-examination came, he started with a surprising witness, Dean Richard Montgomery of Westfield Academy. Dean Montgomery, could you explain the circumstances surrounding Eduardo Torres' scholarship? The dean shifted uncomfortably. The scholarship was awarded through the Palmer Family Foundation, but with specific instruction that it be given to Eduardo Torres regardless of our standard selection criteria. And who gave that instruction? Mrs. Vanessa Delgado. She indicated it was a private arrangement for the family's housekeeper. Marina Torres paled visibly from her seat. Bennett then called Margaret Halsey, a frail woman in her 70s who commanded immediate sympathy. Mrs. Halsey, you were recently contacted by Patricia Palmer regarding your late husband, correct? Yes, Margaret confirmed. She told me Liam Delgado was responsible for my husband's downfall and death. And did you believe her? Margaret looked directly at Patricia. Initially, but when I reviewed the materials she sent, I recognized something. The evidence against Mr. Delgado included financial records that only Thomas himself would have had access to. Records I'd never seen before. The courtroom murmured as Bennett continued. Are you suggesting the evidence was fabricated? I'm stating that Patricia Palmer presented me with documents that could only have come from my husband's private files. Files that disappeared after his death. Files that, if they existed during the IRS investigation, would have confirmed his guilt rather than exonerated him. The revelation shifted the atmosphere dramatically. Bennett proceeded to methodically dismantle the abuse narrative, presenting Liam and Vanessa's extensive travel records, showing no isolation, their separate finances, contradicting financial control claims, and testimony from multiple household staff members contradicting Marina's account. Most devastating was Bennett's final evidence. Recorded conversations between Patricia, Vanessa, and Nolan discussing the fabrication of abuse allegations as a necessary escalation in their campaign against Liam. By the time Wheeler attempted to salvage their case, Judge Powell's expression had transformed from sympathetic concern to barely contained outrage. This court, she declared, takes false allegations of abuse as seriously as it takes actual abuse. They damage legitimate victims' credibility and waste judicial resources. Mrs. Delgado, I am referring this matter for potential perjury charges. Your emergency petition is denied in its entirety. Outside the courthouse, the media had gathered in force. Diana had ensured that select reporters received advance notice of the hearing's likely outcome. "Mr. Delgado, how do you respond to today's ruling?" a reporter called out. Liam paused, projecting dignified restraint. "The truth speaks for itself. I'm deeply disappointed that false allegations were used as a tactic in what should be a straightforward legal proceeding. Domestic abuse is a serious issue affecting many vulnerable people. Weaponizing it for financial gain does a disservice to real victims." As cameras flashed, Liam spotted Vanessa exiting through a side door, her carefully constructed victim narrative now thoroughly dismantled. That evening, as Liam sat in his penthouse reviewing the day's events, he received an unexpected visitor. His mother, Sofia Delgado, entered without her usual warmth. "I watched the news," she said simply. "Then you know Vanessa was lying," Liam replied. "About the abuse, yes." Sofia sat across from him. "But that doesn't erase what was in those files, me, Joe." Liam sighed. "I've made tough decisions in business, Ma. Not all of them perfect. The Martinez family lost everything. And now they work for me," Liam countered. "Roberto Martinez is a vice president in my company. His children have college funds. They're better off than they would have been otherwise." Sofia studied her son. "You justify everything, just like your father. Is that so bad?" "Your father justified his anger, his pride, his refusal to forgive. It cost him friendships, opportunities, peace." Sofia reached for her son's hand. "You're winning this war with Vanessa, but at what cost to your soul?" Liam had no answer as his mother left, her question echoing in the empty penthouse. Later that night, he received a text from Vanessa. "This isn't over." He replied simply, "Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet." Chapter 9. Ashes and Rebirth. 3 months after the courthouse confrontation, Liam stood at the construction site of Harbor Point, watching as the foundation was poured for what would become Boston's most ambitious mixed-use development. The December air was bitter cold, but the project represented warmth, a new beginning, both for the neglected waterfront district and for Liam himself. The divorce had been finalized a week earlier. Thanks to the ironclad prenuptial agreement and Vanessa's documented infidelity, she had received nothing beyond her personal belongings. The Palmer family name, once respected in Boston society, was now tarnished beyond repair. Patricia Palmer had been indicted on multiple counts of tax fraud. Her design firm had collapsed, and she'd been forced to sell her Beacon Hill home to cover legal fees. She now lived in a modest apartment in Revere, awaiting trial. Nolan Brady had disappeared from Boston entirely. Rumors suggested he was working off his debts to the Castillo family in their casino operations in Puerto Rico, a comfortable prison of his own making. And Vanessa? She'd made one final desperate attempt at revenge, trying to leak detailed information about the Riverside development to federal authorities. But Liam had already anticipated this move, having Bennett volunteer a comprehensive review of the project to regulators, identifying minor technical violations and paying the associated fines. By the time Vanessa's information reached investigators, the matter had been resolved, appearing as nothing more than a responsible company's self-correction. "Mr. Delgado," a construction manager approached. "The structural engineer needs to speak with you about the foundation specifications." As Liam handled the technical details of his newest creation, his phone buzzed with a message from Theo. "She's leaving today. Flight to London at 7 p.m. Vanessa was finally giving up, fleeing to Europe to escape the humiliation of her failed scheme. Liam felt no satisfaction in the news, only a hollow recognition that the 5-year illusion of his marriage had culminated in this. Two strangers on opposite sides of an ocean, connected only by mutual destruction. That evening, instead of returning to his penthouse, Liam drove to South Boston. Sofia opened the door without a word, stepping aside to let her son enter the home where he'd grown up. The small kitchen smelled of sofrito and coffee. Liam sat at the worn table, the same one where he'd done his homework as a child, where his father had taught him that the world respected strength above all else. "I came to say you were right," Liam said finally. "About the cost." Sofia placed a cup of coffee before him. "And was it worth it? I protected what's mine. I didn't let them take advantage of me. And now you have everything except peace." Sophia sat across from him. Your father was the same. He won every argument, held every grudge, never forgot a slight. He died bitter and alone in his thoughts, even with me beside him. Liam stared into his coffee. What would you have had me do? Forgive them? Forgiveness isn't for them, me, Joe. It's for you. Sophia reached for a worn Bible on the counter, opening it to a marked page. Your father never understood that. I pray you can. They sat in silence as evening settled over the neighborhood where Liam had learned to fight, to survive, to win at all costs. The lessons had served him well in business, but as he looked at his mother, the quiet strength, the enduring compassion, he wondered about the path not taken. 3 days later, Liam received a letter forwarded from his attorney. Vanessa's handwriting on the envelope, postmarked from London. He considered burning it unopened. Instead, he broke the seal and read, Liam, by the time you read this, I'll be establishing a new life far from Boston. Not because I fear you, but because I finally see the truth we both missed. We were perfectly matched in our willingness to destroy each other. The plan to marry you, for revenge, wasn't initially mine. It was my mother's obsession that I adopted. The irony is that I genuinely fell in love with you during our first year together. The ruthlessness that my mother hated in you was what I admired. We could have been powerful together if the past hadn't poisoned everything. Nolan was a mistake born of loneliness. You were so consumed with empire building that you stopped seeing me years ago. But he was only a symptom of what was already broken between us. I won't ask forgiveness. We're both beyond that. I write only so you know that in the wreckage of our war, there was once something real, however briefly. Vanessa. Liam folded the letter and placed it in his desk drawer. Whether her words were true or one final manipulation didn't matter. The chapter was closed. In the following months, Liam poured himself into Harbor Point, not just as a business venture, but as redemption of sorts. The development included affordable housing units, community spaces, and educational facilities alongside the luxury components. He established a scholarship foundation for low-income students from Southie, naming it after his father. Roberto Martinez, whom Liam had indeed hired years after acquiring his family's failed company, became his right hand in community relations for the project. Their complicated history transformed into an unexpectedly effective partnership. On a bright spring morning a year after the divorce, Liam visited the Martinez family's Sunday gathering, a boisterous affair with 3 generations sharing food, music, and laughter. Roberto's mother, Carmen, initially regarded Liam with suspicion, but gradually warmed as he engaged with the family, speaking the Spanish of his childhood home. You know, Carmen said as they sat on the porch watching children play, I hated you for years after we lost our business. I know, Liam replied. You had every right. Roberto tells me you've changed. She studied him carefully. He says the divorce humbled you. Liam considered this. Not the divorce. The victory. Carmen nodded, understanding. Sometimes winning shows us who we really are. Later that evening, Liam called his mother. I'm having dinner at the house tomorrow. I want to talk about Dad. What about him? Sophia asked. Everything you never told me. The man behind the lessons. The next day, as they shared a simple meal in Sophia's kitchen, she revealed the complexity of Alejandro Delgado, his struggles, his regrets, his pride that hardened into isolation. He wanted a different life for you, Sophia concluded. He taught you to fight because he thought that was the only way to survive. But in his final days, he worried he'd taught you to fight too well, that you'd never know when to lay down your weapons. Liam absorbed these revelations about the father he'd idolized and emulated. I still don't forgive them, he said finally. Vanessa, Patricia, all of them. Sophia touched his hand. Forgiveness isn't an event, Mijo. It's a process. It begins with letting go of what might have been. As Liam drove back to his penthouse, overlooking the harbor and the foundations of his newest creation rising from the earth, he reflected on what remained after the fire of vengeance had burned itself out. His empire stood intact, stronger even. His enemies were vanquished. His reputation, after weathering the storm, had emerged burnished rather than tarnished. By any measure, he had won completely. Yet his mother's words haunted him. "You have everything except peace." In his office, Liam opened his desk drawer and took out Vanessa's letter, reading it one final time before feeding it into the shredder. Not as an act of anger, but as release. The restaurant confrontation that had started it all, my wife and I were on a date when her mother stormed in, now seemed like a scene from someone else's life. The man who had stood up and declared, "You too enjoy, because I'm done with this marriage," had been righteous in his anger, justified in his retribution. But Liam Delgado would not remain trapped in that moment of betrayal forever. He had prevailed. He had survived. And perhaps, someday, he would learn what his father never had, that the ultimate victory wasn't in destroying one's enemies, but in refusing to be destroyed by the fight. For now, he would build, not just buildings and businesses, but a life beyond vengeance. The ruthlessness that had served him would remain, a weapon sheathed but not discarded, but no longer the only tool in his arsenal. As Boston's lights sparkled across the harbor, Liam raised a glass to the future, not with forgiveness, perhaps, but with the first fragile seeds of something his father had never found, the freedom of looking forward instead of back. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.